What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you the full powered version involving the Primites for the almighty Blue Eyes White Dragon. That's right, so this is the full powered version of the deck. You'll actually see that not a huge amount changes. You pretty much just add in a little bit more investment to give you a couple of different options in your extra deck, as well as the options of being able to get you that aggressive / defensive option of the Lords and of course Primites in general. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. I'm going to try to bring you some duels with this deck as well as some test stands, and of course the combo video dropped yesterday so you have a basic understanding of what this deck is trying to achieve and how it's going to look going forward as a possible meta contender. So, starting off with the Blue Eyes White Dragons themselves. Now, in this particular version, you are quite comfortable being able to play 2. You can play 3 if you want to, but the space can be utilised with other cards, whether that be non-engine in the form of hand traps, or whether that be in a bit more combo-orientated options in the form of the Primites, or just general spirit sages, and of course maidens and everything else in between. So 2 Blue Eyes White Dragon is pretty much what you'll need. Then we do play the 1 Blue Eyes Jet Dragon. You can play any version of the Blue Eyes kind of cards that you want to. Honestly, I feel that Jet is probably one of the better ones right now, just because it gives you that interruption or that revival from the graveyard and then that onboard built-in protection that a lot of people overlook. You can sub this out for any of the Blue Eyes variants that you might want to. It really is up to you. And the last one that I'm playing is I still like the idea of playing a Neo Kaiser Seahorse, just because I am, in this particular version, still playing Primite Raw. I know some people have cut it completely, which is absolutely fine, but I do like the idea of being able to activate Primite Raw, summon it out, and then if I do hard open up the Neo Kaiser, I can special it down, and then straight away that's my Crimson Dragon, which can be very, very helpful going into additional plays, if that is the route of synchro options you want to be going down. You can cut it out completely, it really is up to you. You can cut it down back to a 40 card deck. There's also some other cards you can add into the deck, which I'll talk about as I go through it. Then for the Sages / Spellcasters, we are playing triple Sage with Eyes of Blue. This is like the best one for it because this is your ideal normal summon. You still also have an additional normal summon in the form of the Primite Dragon Ether Beryl, so that it does give you another bit of a benefit because you can't always guarantee you're going to have access to this card. Another way that you can also add consistency to the deck if you want to is Bingo Machine Go. It really just comes down to the type of play you want to make, and ideally if you're going to be taking out the Primite cards, Bingo Machine Go can go in there and it will also help increase your consistency should you need to. Then of course triple Maiden of White, like this card's such an insane addition to the deck. The fact that it means that you can work your way into the Sage of Eyes of Blue, the fact that it doesn't even need to use up your normal summon and it keeps floating itself back from the graveyard, obviously only once per turn, but the idea is once it's there, it can come back every time you summon out a Blue Eyes, which is really, really helpful, and then it gives you access to your True Light and everything else in between. Obviously, ideally, once you've already got the True Light in rotation, of course it does let you bring it back from the grave or the straight from the deck or the grave, but the idea is that you don't really want your opponent destroying it. If they do, great, you can recycle it with additional Maiden of Whites, but like I said, once it's in the graveyard, you're just going to keep looping it back anyway. I am playing the 1 Master with Eyes of Blue. I quite like the option of being able to utilise this as either my additional summon off of the back of the Mausoleum of White, or just as a general grind option that should be quite helpful for you. So this one is when it's normal summoned, you get to target a level 1 Light Tuner in your graveyard and add it back to the hand. So you can recycle your Effect Failures, you can recycle your Sages, or your Maidens should you need to. On top of that as well, you get to shuffle this card from the graveyard to the deck to target an effect monster you control, send it to the graveyard, and if you do, you special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon or a Blue Eyes monster to be specific from your graveyard other than the sent monster. So that can be really helpful to kind of get a Jet Dragon back out if you want to, or you just bring back a Blue Eyes. So the best thing about something like this is in the grind game, normal summon down the Master, and let's say you've already gone through your 1 card combo off of the back of Maiden or Sage or anything like that. The Master can add the Sage back to the hand, and if you've got Mausoleum in White to go again, you can just normal summon the Sage and then search out an Effect Veiler. On top of that as well, it then also allows you to send an effect monster to the grave, or while it's in the graveyard, sorry, spin back the effect monster, and then that will allow you to summon out Blue Eyes, and in doing so, you then bring back the Maiden from the grave. So there's loads of different ways you can just kind of loop Master around, and very simply, just by being able to link this off into the Link 1 Blue Eyes, you're still then going to be able to do that exact loop. And then for the spell cards, of course, triple Wishes for Eyes of Blue. Pretty standard on this one. Like, this card is insane. You can very easily, if you want to, add in Bingo Machine Go. Like I've said, these are kind of... Bingo Machine can kind of sub itself out for alternative options, but honestly, rather than giving that randomized chance off of the back of Bingo Machine, you kind of just want to get to the hard copies of themselves. 1 True Light and the 1 Majesty. I still really like this card. I think the artwork's stunning, and I do like it as a nice little disruption. Yes, of course, you're only ever really going to get 2 Blue Eyes in rotations, but the idea is it still gives you a nice interruption, and it is very easily searchable. And then for your generic cards, of course, you've got the one Call by the Grave, the one Synchro Rumble, because we are playing the Crimson Dragon route, and I really do like the option that I make Crimson Dragon, which is already going to help my combos on top of that, but then I also get to add a Synchro Rumble, which is going to help me extend even further. One Mausoleum of White, pretty standard on that one, and then the one Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragon. Then for the Primite cards, we are going with triple Primite Ether Beryl. So for those of you unfamiliar with this one, this is a bit of an expensive engine. These were currently like £25 at YCS Birmingham. I know some people on the trade group and some on eBay are going for like 15 or so pound as well. So it really depends on if you want to be investing in this engine. The money card is going to be your Primite Lordy Lord, but honestly, it's really just following suit from the OCG, which is why kind of builds are being put together like this. So if this card is normal summon specifically, again, you get to set a Primite spell or trap from the deck. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. You get to tribute this card to send a normal monster from your deck to the graveyard. And then during the next, your next standby phase, because there is an errata on this already, if you have a normal monster on your field or the graveyard, you get to add this card back to the hand, which you should do. And then the idea is you're just constantly going to always have this normal summon option available for you. And then the direct one that you're going to want to go for will be your Lordy Lord. Because if you set your Lordy Lord, you can activate it, and then when you activate it, you get to add a Primite card from the deck to the hand, except itself. So straight away, of course, you'd normal summon off your Primite Dragon, you'd normal summon your Primite Dragon Ether Beryl, you'd work your way into a Lordy Lord, you'd activate the Lordy Lord, and then that will give you access to either your Drill Beam or, of course, your Roar. Now, obviously, it's going to be less relevant for your Roar. The only reason this is going to be useful is if you hard open up the Lordy Lord. But more times than not, you can go for your Drill Beam, which is just going to be a constantly recurred way of being able to interrupt your opponent. So those of you unfamiliar with Lordy Lord, I'll go over that first, and then I'll talk about the rest. So this one lets you add a Primite card from the deck to the hand, except Primite Lordy Lord. You get to declare a normal monster card name and special summon one declared normal monster from the hand, deck, or graveyard in defense position. But you can't activate the effects of special summon monsters on the field. It says this turn, but it's quite like SP Little Knight. It basically doesn't count backwards. So it means you can activate as many effects as you want to up to this point, and then when you activate that second effect of Lordy Lord, that's when you're going to lock yourself down. So keep that in mind, it's very important. And then once with normal summon monsters and Primite monsters you control, gain 300 attack for each normal monster with different names in the graveyard, which will only ever really be 300. And then, of course, you've got your Drill Beam, and this one lets you reveal a Primite card or a normal monster in your hand, except itself. Or if you control a normal monster, you level 5 or higher, Primite monster, except a token, you can activate this card without revealing the card. You target one face-up card on the field, negate its effect, and if you do, banish it. During your main phase, if you control a Primite monster, you get to set this card back from the graveyard to the field, which is very easy because now we've got Ether Beryl in rotation. And then for your non-engine hand traps, of course, you get the Ash Blossoms that come with the structure deck alongside Nibiru's. 2 Veilers. Now the reason I decided to go with 2 Veilers is because it's so easily recyclable and the fact that it's so easily searchable that I didn't want to go too mad on this card, and it also let me free up some space for some Bestials. Now if you don't want to be playing the Bestials, the other option you can play is the Dominus Purge. My only issue with Dominus Purge is it clashes with Ash, it obviously clashes with Dark Attribute as well, and it's one of the ones where you had to go in a very specific way of being able to go, cool, activate Ash and then go with Dominus Purge, and when you do something like that, it then meant 2 copies of Ashes are relatively dead in the deck. So I felt that you're probably better off not playing it, but it is one of them options if you are massively worried about running into a talent going first, that you might want to consider going for that instead of Ash, and then that's when you can obviously free up some space by taking out your Bestials and then adding in some other engines. The final hand trap we're playing is triple Imperm, so you can see just how much space they have to be able to play hand traps in this. So straight away you've got 3 Imperms, 3 Nibiru's, 3 Ashes, 3 Bestials, so straight away you're on 12, and then of course you add 2 Veilers to that, you're on 14 hand traps, which is absolutely insane. So you really easily do have space for talents if you want to. You could technically play cross out if you wanted to. I feel that one of the biggest issues for this deck might be Nibiru if you don't play around it, but then with the Primite cards you actually do have a nice way to kind of play through it and keep going should you need to. So there's loads of different options you can consider, and it really comes down to what you have available to you and the options for it. I feel that Primite is probably the best version for it, but I don't feel that it is that big of a jump between that and some other versions you could play with the space of the Primites. It just gives you more consistency to get the Blue Eyes to the graveyard. It also gives you more consistency to add monsters to your board as well. Moving on to the extra deck, so for the Synchros we do play the 1 Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon, and I probably should also mention that we do play the 2 Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. Now this is the Synchro monster you're going to be going into more times than not, because this is the one card that can let you cheese out all of your other level 12s, which I'm going to take you through in a second. But the idea is that when you have access to Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon, this one lets you, means your opponent cannot banish cards from your graveyard, which means they can't bestial you, which is really important, and you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. When a card or effect is activated on the field, you get a quick effect to negate the activation, and if you do, this card gains 1,000 attack until the end of the turn. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you get to special summon a light dragon monster from the graveyard except itself. And then, of course, the idea is that you're going to want to spin out your Blue-Eyes Spirit Dragon, will spawn out a Crimson Dragon, and then off of the back of the Crimson Dragon, because it's very easy to make another Spirit Dragon, which will then use its effect to get you a Blue-Eyes Ultimate, you then have access to a range of level 12 Synchros. Now, I'm going to show you 3 that don't clash with Dominus Purge, but you can very easily consider Red Nova Dragon, because that can be a dark level 12 that is a bit more aggressive. The options that I kind of went for was Cosmic Blazar Dragon. So this one, obviously Crimson Dragon lets you special summon out a level 12 dragon, which will be of something like Cosmic Blazar Dragon. And this one says it must be synchro summoned, which is exactly what Crimson Dragon does. Even though it technically doesn't use a tuner and a non-tuner, it basically spins out a special summon a dragon monster, but it's technically treated as a synchro summon. So you get to banish this card from the until the end phase of to activate one of the following effects. When your opponent activates a card or effect, negate the activation if you do destroy that card. When your opponent would summon a monster or monsters, negate the summoning if you do destroy that monster or monsters. And then when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you get to negate the attack and then end the battle phase. So this is a very nice defensive option. Then the one that is the most expensive right now, because it's only had like technically 2 prints, which was Shining Victories and Mega Pack 2017. And that is your Cypher Dragon. So again, must be synchro summoned and can't be special summoned by other ways, which is fine because Crimson Dragon treats it as a synchro summon, which is why you get past that loophole. The first time each card you control would be destroyed this turn by battle or card effect is not destroyed, so it's just pretty much a nice blanket protector. Once per turn, during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a monster effect, you get to negate the effect, and if you do, destroy 1 card on the field. You can banish this card from the graveyard to then target a level 8 or lower Stardust monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Now obviously you're not going to be special summoning out a Stardust monster, but the idea is that it allows you to protect all of your cards. It means they won't get destroyed by the kind of floating effect of the Blue-Eyes Spirit Dragon, which is really important. And then on top of that as well, the fact it lets you pop a card on the field gives you a little bit more interruption. The final level 12 that I am personally playing, but I feel you could change this up for wherever you want, is the Crystal Clearwing over Synchro Dragon. And the reason for that is I think it just looks absolutely amazing. There is obviously more beneficial effects, so it must be synchro summoned, and then once per turn when another card or effect is activated, you get a quick effect, negate the activation if you do destroy that card. And if you destroyed a monster, this card gains attack equal to that monster's original attack until the end of this turn. If this face-up synchro summon card in its owner's control leaves the field by an opponent's card, you get to special summon a Clearwing monster from the extra deck. So you could put in another Clearwing if you wanted to. It would actually open up the door to being able to play Crystal Wing and everything else, because you would actually summon out the Clearwing and then you'd use one of your level 1 tuners to make Crystal Wing. But the idea is I just like this as a nice alternative option, but you can very easily just play in any Red Nova Dragon or anything else like that. For the Link monsters, we are playing 2 of the Spirit with Eyes of Blue, so this is obviously the card that lets you search out your Mausoleum of White, as well as being able to tribute it to revive a Blue Eyes from the grave. Then of course you do have your 1 Hieratic Seals, pretty staple on that one. And then I do like to play a very small rank 8 engine. So the 3 rank 8s that I went with was the number 90 Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord for the monster protection if you are worried about Nib, Hope Harbinger to deal with your spells and redeclare attacks, and then the 1 Indigo Eyes Silver Dragon. Now this is in here purely as a very good aggressive option, but it's mainly one of them ones where, honestly, I feel that Din Girsu might be a better option for you. And then you could also consider something like an SP Little Knight as well. It really comes down to your preference. I just like the idea of being able to play these different Galaxy options in order to provide you with different forms of protection, and then just having an all-out aggressive rank 8 should I need it. And the last 2 cards we are playing is the 1 Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon and the 1 Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. So obviously this is to be equipped to your Blue Eyes off of the back of the Prayers with Eyes of Blue, and then Prayers with Blue, and then this will give you the ability to tribute that Blue Eyes to go into a Tyrant Dragon, which gives you the ability to fight back against a trap heavy deck, which might be something you could struggle against depending on how prepared you are, and that's where it can kind of really come into play for you. So that's it for the entire main deck and the extra deck, just to kind of blitz over the side deck because this is pretty much the same that I showed you in the budget version, for the pure fact that I think this side deck is pretty solid for the format. So triple Drone Lockbird, pretty standard on that one. Alongside triple Lancia, very easily accessible against Malice decks. Book of Eclipse is your board breaker. Of course you can play Forbidden Droplet if you want to, really is up to you. The 1 Harpy's Feather Duster just to deal with any pesky back row control decks. And as I dropped my copy of Solemn Strike. Solemn Strike is my selected trap of the format as well. I just really like what it provides for you. You can go Judgments, as I said in the budget profile, but the idea is just strikes being able to kind of deal with monster effects can be very, very helpful. And the last two is Mischief for the Gnomes. Again, if you wanted to, you could consider stuff like Trill Tactic Talents. But I feel when you're Frost, sorry. I feel that when you're looking at something like that, you then start sacrificing some cards in the side deck or even the main deck in order to facilitate its consistency. And I honestly don't think you need to. So I decided to go down this particular route here. I also feel that Mischief for the Gnomes could be a good option against Blue Eyes because it will then disrupt their synchro plays and their XYZ plays as well if they have gone down that route, which can make it a little bit awkward for them. But again, really kind of comes down to your playstyle preference and what you have access to. So that's it for the entire profile. If you do have any questions at all, by all means, please let me know in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them as always. For now, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and of course, subscribe. Until next time, as absolutely always, stay safe and of course, happy dueling.